Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. And like less than 1,000 words away from the last. This is Confession of a Doubting Patriot. Most of you have probably heard of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. I held a top-secret clearance with the United States Army as I served under 3 consecutive commanders-in-chief. George W. Bush was my commander-in-chief for the 8 years in the middle of my Army career. This period accounted for the majority of my 6 overseas tours, including all 4 of my deployments to the Middle East, where I was privy to the many horrors of war. You might have already guessed that I too have heard of PTSD. I believe I've even known people who have it, but I'm no doctor, so that's just my opinion. It seems like everyone who spends a year or 2 or 3 or more in combat would be some way permanently altered from prolonged exposure to the stresses of moral ambiguity, fear of death, and the horrors of war. I've been treated for anxiety, depression, pain, sleeplessness, migraines, thyroid failure, and hives due to stress, but so far I've managed to evade the PTSD. For more than a decade now, doctors have been diagnosing my son with a wide variety of acronyms and such, including, but by no means limited to, ADD, bipolar, ADHD, schizophrenia, and of course secondary PTSD. The doctor thinks he picked up a little secondhand PTSD somewhere, obviously from his mother or his sisters, because if I never got it. I'm not complaining, but I wish I could tell you how I managed not to get the PTSD. It's not like I'm that careful. I make contact with people who I'm pretty sure have it. I don't put on any mask or gloves or any other protective equipment when I'm around people who obviously have the PTSD. They could even be experiencing symptoms, and somehow I never contracted the PTSD, at least not officially. Officially, my claim is under consideration. I guess the evidence is inconclusive or whatever. Like I said, I'm no doctor. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the Titanic was sinkable, Nixon was a crook, the second Gulf of Tonkin incident that sent us into war never actually happened, Building 7 did not spontaneously implode, Iraq didn't have the WMDs, and the world was never really flat. So warriors have always returned to be forever changed by having witnessed the lie behind the curtain. The warrior tries to reintegrate with a society who lacked the perspective to fully appreciate 3 terrible truths. War is deception, war is horrible, and war is unnecessary.
Oh boy.
Even if the warrior can't articulate this in their tiny warrior brain, the truths gnaw at the warrior's gut. In my experience, warriors wish they could make the perpetual suffering stop. Suicide is considered, at least. It hurts to be taken for a sucker. We don't like to admit it. All of us warriors have been taken for suckers. We were all fooled into creating war on earth to serve the greedy. The pain of this will be just as real for the warrior 10,000 years from now as it was for the warrior 10,000 years ago. But the absence of world peace is the potentially fatal side effect of money and religion. Money is the drug, and war is its fatal side effect. I guess religion is a well-meaning enabler. One thing I have in common with people who have the PTSD is I used to have lots of faith. It doesn't matter if your faith is in a religion or in the color of a flag. It's difficult to witness the harsh realities of war and still have room for faith. A religion functions well in a vacuum, but how can religion plug into what I've witnessed? Like a square make-believe peg in a round physical universe. Growing up in my Nazarene church, they were typically against anything new. Like any church, they were definitely against anything old. Think dinosaur bones, think wine, think the oldest profession. Nazarenes discouraged just about anything except abstinence. So I mastered abstinence and preached sermons on its virtues. As a teenager, I had the faith, and the faith felt really good. Faith is comforting by design. It subsidizes whatever you don't know. You understand the universe the best you can, and you let faith in to instinctively fill in the tiny gaps. Even if I know it's not the whole truth, it feels like it fits a little better if I let the faith fill in the little gaps. But the war machine can afford to crush my faith because it runs itself on the faith of the masses. The money and the religion doesn't see good guys and bad guys. They just force their way into every country and attack from every angle. In my dad's war, they didn't want it to be about religious persecution and economic oppression. So they made it about red flags coming at you like dominoes. So we had to go all the way around our huge gigantic planet so we could do something for Asian boys, what Asian boys could be doing for themselves, killing each other. How ridiculous is that? We should be smarter by now, but we're still a bunch of suckers. For survival as a species, we will have to go back to old ways and create new ways. As a global organism, we will reluctantly turn our backs on money and religion, which is going to hurt because we believed in them so much.
Yeah, bravo.